my channel. So today I am going to be doing a little tutorial for you. I'm going to do my everyday makeup routine, my everyday glam look, which is what I'm wearing right now. And I wanted to do this look because often in real life I get asked by friends or family or whoever how I do my makeup on a normal day. So I just wanted to go through it, and hopefully this will be interesting and entertaining. And so if you want to see how I got my everyday glam look, just keep watching and let's jump into it. Okay, so to get started, I'm just going to pin my hair back so get it out of the way. My first step is always to line my waterline because I always have to touch the skin around my eye to do that. And I figure better do it before you have anything else on your skin. So I am using the H&M Color Essence Eye Pencil in the shade Panther, and raise your hand if you knew that H&M made makeup, because I knew, and it's actually pretty good, shockingly. So I'm just gonna line my waterline with that. All right, next I'm going to put on some sunscreen. SPF is very important. I have the Neutrogena Age Shield Face Oil-Free Lotion, SPF 110. That probably sounds a bit extra, but higher SPFs do give you incrementally more protection the higher you go. So if you're really fair, I do recommend, like me, if you're really fair like me, I do recommend that you use a higher SPF product. And I like this one because it's not oily, so makeup sits really well on top of it. And next I'm going to go in with moisturizer. This is the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Gel. I like this a lot. This is my first time purchasing the full-size bottle, but I've had a lot of samples of this. If you can get the samples, I recommend it because the full-size is expensive. And the samples actually do last for quite a while. And I like this because it's very has this nice bouncy texture, and it just glides onto your skin, and it really gives you deep moisturization, in my opinion. And it doesn't have any alcohol, and I try to avoid alcohol in skincare products whenever I can because it is supposed to age your skin more dramatically than otherwise. Next, I'm going to go in with primer. This is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I mean, I think everyone has heard of this who is in the YouTube verse. It kind of set the internet on fire a little while ago. Everyone thought it was the a dupe for the Tatcha, the really expensive primer that everyone raves about. And I don't have the Tatcha primer, so I don't know if it's a dupe for it, but I do like it quite a lot. It gives a very nice, smooth finish to the face. It is very good at filling in pores. So yeah, I recommend it, especially if you're concerned about pores. It is a little bit heavy, so if you really like light primers, you probably won't like this, but I think most people would enjoy this, and it's very inexpensive. It's like $4, I think. But if it's always sold out, so you might have some trouble finding it. And I'm just priming all over my face just to make sure I can get maximum wear time throughout the day. I find that if I prime my whole face, it really helps my makeup stay on the entire day. And next we are on to foundation. I have my damp Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. I really like this, and it is quite inexpensive. I think these are $5 or $6 each. I've got 10 of them, I think. Really great alternative to the Beauty Blender, which is obviously super expensive. So for foundation today, I'm going to go in with a mix of 3 foundations. I have the Maybelline Superstay foundation, which is kind of a matte finish. And next I have the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Foundation. It has a very nice dewy finish, even though I don't have acne. I like it a lot. And I have the Revlon Candid foundation, which is a very nice kind of light to medium coverage dewy foundation. And to start off, I'm just going to do a pump of each of these on my sponge. And I always mix my foundations, even if I like foundations by themselves. I just love to mix foundations. I don't know what it is. So I am the shade 110 in the Revlon foundation. I am the shade Porcelain in the e.l.f. foundation. This foundation has a terrible, terrible shade range. It only has like 10 shades. This is the lightest shade and it is way too dark for me, which is why I always have to mix it with something lighter, even though I really do like the formula. And I am the shade 105 in the Maybelline foundation. So I have a pump of each foundation on the sponge, so let's get blending. So I'm just tapping the foundation into the skin with my sponge. So as you can see, that gave me kind of an all over kind of glowy, light to medium coverage look. In my opinion, this kind of coverage is perfect for every day. It's not too much, not too little. It just kind of gives you a very like natural, but also like put together look. Okay, so next I'm gonna do eyeshadow. So I always prime my eyes with the MAC Paint Pot. This is kind of like, I think this is like a YouTube classic. Like everybody used to use this to prime their eyes back in the day. But I use this because I don't like concealer as an eyelid primer. I feel like it creases way too much on me anyway. And this is very, like it just covers all of your veins, all of the discoloration in your eyelids. It's just like gives you a blank slate. So I like it a lot. And I have this little e.l.f. concealer brush and I just take a little bit of product on the e.l.f. concealer brush and I'm just going to kind of paint it onto my eyelid. And once I have like a little bit on my eyelid, I just tend to blend it in with my finger. And next I'm going to start on eyeshadow and I'm going to use the Lorac Unzipped palette today. This is like one of my favorite palettes because I always know what look I'm going to do with this palette. I can just grab it, throw together a look. It's really quick and easy for me. Perfect for every day. Got these like great gold and rose gold shades. Just a really nice neutral everyday palette. And this wasn't limited edition or anything, so you can definitely still get this palette. So to start, I'm going to take this shade, which is Undiscovered, and I'm going to use it to set down the primer on my lids. And I'm using this Real Techniques brush. It is the 200 brush, and I'm just going to use it to set my lids with that shade. So I'm just tapping the shadow all over my lids. And I'm using the shade because it's close to my skin tone, so it just kind of blends in. And now I'm just going to do the other eye. And I'm just buffing this all over the lid and taking it right up to the eyebrow. And next, I'm going to go into the shade Unconditional right here, and I'm going to just buff that into my crease. And I'm going to use this Morphe pointed crease brush. It is the M39, I think. The numbers are a little rubbed off. And I'm just going to buff that into my crease. So I'm starting in the inner corner of my eye, just kind of buffing it out with windshield wiper motions. So this is just a very simple eye look. So next I'm going to go in with the shade Unbelievable, and I'm just going to pat this all over my lid with my finger. This is like the simplest eye look I know how to do personally. But whenever I wear it, I seem to get like compliments on it from like random people. So I guess there's something about it. But it's super simple, just kind of everyday glam. Just, you know, fresh, simple, easy, all of that good stuff. So I'm just patting this all over my lid with my finger. And I hardly ever use brushes for shimmer shades because I just think fingers are easier, to be honest. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye. And you'll notice I have a little bit of fallout under my eyes, but I'm not too concerned about that because I'm going to clean it up with the concealer. The last step for the eyes, I'm going to go in with this shade here, Unspoken. I'm going to go in with my Morphe M578 pencil brush. I'm just going to tap a little bit of the shade Unspoken in the outer corner of my eye just to give it a little bit of dimension. This is kind of an optional step. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, just depending on how much time I have when I'm getting ready in the morning. So you can see that gives the outer corner a little bit of dimension. It's not so one-dimensional. So the final step for the eyes, I'm just gonna like blend everything together basically. Just make sure there are no harsh lines. And I'm gonna use this brush. This is by It Cosmetics. The numbers have completely worn off. I do not know which brush this is. I think it's called the Crease Blending Brush or something like that. But I'm just gonna start blending from the middle of the lid towards the outer corner and up into the crease. So you can see I'm swiping away from the middle of the lid and taking some of that outer corner shade up into the crease. And I like doing this, it just kind of blends everything together, makes it look kind of seamless and natural. Next, I'm gonna go in with concealer. I have the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I think everybody in the makeup verse has heard about this. I have tried so many concealers, drugstore, high-end, whatever, and I just can't find anything I like as much as this. So I do use it, even though it's really expensive, I do use it all the time. And I tend to mix it with other concealers to kind of make it last a little bit longer, but today I'm not gonna mix it with anything. I'm just gonna use this concealer. So I'm just going to dab a little bit underneath the eyes. And at the same time, I'm gonna take this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. And this shade is, obviously you can tell it's way too dark for me. I use this as kind of a liquid contour slash bronzer. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this where I would normally put contour, like right here, and put a little bit on my forehead to just kind of give my face a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to put a little bit here and a little bit here where I'd normally put contour, and a little bit on my forehead. And I think using a darker concealer shade is a really good hack for not buying contour or bronzer because it's basically the same thing. And it's really easy to blend when it's a liquid product. So if you are not wanting to spend money on liquid contour, liquid bronzer, whatever, I just pick up a darker shade of concealer. It's the same thing. I'm gonna grab my Real Technique sponge again and just blend that all out. And I'm just taking that concealer left over from my eye and just kind of bringing it down around my nose and up into my forehead. And I'm going to take the other end of the sponge and use it to blend in the darker shade of concealer. Next, I'm going to powder my face, and I'm a little bit unusual in that I tend to powder my entire face, and I just do that so my makeup stays all day. Leave the house usually around 7:30 in the morning, and I usually don't get back until like 5:30, sometimes like 6 o'clock at night. So I want it to stay in place that entire time. So I just powder my whole face. And I like to use the Coty Airspun powder. I think this is like the type of thing you either love it or you hate it kind of thing. It does have a pretty strong scent, so if you don't like products with scents, you won't like this, but it is inexpensive. You can get it at Walmart. This is a pretty big container. I mean, this has lasted me for several months. So I do think that this is a good product if you're on a budget. And I'm just going to set my whole face with this powder brush from IT Cosmetics. This is the Buffing Mineral Powder Brush. It is number 206. I got this at Ulta. It's a really good powder brush. I mean, I don't know if they sell it anymore. I think it might have been a limited edition, but it's a great powder brush. I love it. And next I'm going to highlight. So I have the MAC Hyper Real Glow Palette. I really like this for every day. It's not like super blinding, but it's really natural, really buildable. It just gives you that like lit from within glow. I think it's really a great product for, you know, doing more natural makeup looks. So this is what it looks like. And I'm going to use a little bit of this shade and a little bit of this shade. This one is called Flash and Awe, and this one is called Rosy Glow, and I'm going to use this one on my bridge of my nose. I'm going to use this one on my cheekbones. And I'm going to highlight today with this Real Techniques setting brush. I really like it for highlight because it's got this nice tapered shape to the brush. I think it's really great for just tapping and highlight. So I'm just brushing this on the bridge of my nose, just a little bit. And then I'm taking the shade Rosy Glow, and I'm just going to kind of put it on my cheekbones in circular motions. And to finish off the highlighting, I'm going to grab this highlight. This is the ColourPop Mistress of All Evil highlight from the Disney Villains collection. This is one of their Super Shock highlights. I like to just dab a little bit of this on the highest point of my cheekbones, here and here, just to kind of give it a bit of an extra glow. And I really like this shade because it's kind of rosy, but also kind of champagne-y, and it just looks really natural on the skin, and the packaging is super cute, obviously. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of that. So I'm going to use this flat top buffing brush. This is from the brand Lamora. And I'm just going to tap a little bit on the highest point of each cheekbone. And next I'm going to go in with blush. This is the Romantic Rose blush by Milani. I like this because it's kind of very natural on my skin. It doesn't stand out a whole lot. It's just a very kind of soft, dusty pink. Very easy to build, but very natural. I think it's a really good blush for people with fair skin tones. So I'm going to go in with this Wet n Wild blush brush, and I'm just going to apply a little bit to each cheek. So next I'm going to go in with mascara. This is the Maybelline Snapscara, and I like this a lot because it's affordable. It's easy to remove. It comes off with water, and it gives a nice amount of length and volume that it looks nice without looking like too much. So I think it's a really good mascara for just, you know, every day, going to the office, going to school, to work, you know, whatever. Next, I'm going to fill in my eyebrows, and I'm going to use the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette. I like to fill in my eyebrows with eyeshadows normally because they're basically the same thing as brow powders, and if you already have an eyeshadow palette in your collection that has a shade that's the color of your hair, then just use it. It's, you know, saves you from buying an extra product. Even though I do have brow powders, I just don't use them. So I'm going to fill in my eyebrows with the shade Triple Fudge right here, and as you may or may not be able to tell, my eyebrows are very much two different shapes. So it always takes a little bit of finagling, shall I say, for me to get them to be the same shape. So I'm going to go in with this eyeliner brush from Luxie Cosmetics. I think I got this in an Ipsy bag like a long time ago. And I'm just going to start filling in my eyebrows. Okay, so my camera stopped recording there for a minute, so I just finished my eyebrows off camera. But basically, I just filled them in with my eyeliner brush as I was doing before. So the next step, I forgot to put my inner corner highlight in my eyes, so I'm just going to pop that into my inner corners quickly. I'm using the shade Unreal from the Lorac Unzipped palette, and I'm just going to pop it into the inner corners of my eyes. And I'm using a flat shader brush. This is from the Ulta brand. I think it's just called the small flat shader brush. Okay, and next I'm going to do my lips. I have the ColourPop lip liner in the shade Bumble. Bumble is kind of a warm toned pink. So I'm just going to line my lips with this. I really do like the ColourPop lip liners. I think they're very creamy, very pigmented, and they're very affordable. Now that I've lined my lips, the next step is to go in with lipstick. This is the Lorac lipstick in the shade Secret Agent. I really like this shade. It's my go-to everyday shade. It's kind of a brownie mauve color, and I like this formula. It's very similar to the MAC formula of lipsticks. Very creamy, very pigmented, very easy to wear. And next, I'm going to go in with the ColourPop So Juicy Lip Gloss in the shade She's Here, and I'm just going to tap a tiny bit of that on top of the lipstick. This is a newer product to me. It is very sticky, but I do like the glow it gives. I think it's a really nice lip gloss, and it's super affordable. So I'm just tapping that in the middle of my bottom lip. And I'm rubbing my lips together a little bit to get a little bit on the top lip. So you can see that kind of gave me kind of a subtle shine. And then the final step today is going to be to go in with my setting spray. This is the e.l.f. Dewy Setting Mist. It's the coconut one. It smells like coconut. It's fantastic. It's very hydrating. It reminds me a lot of the MAC Fix Plus spray, but it's much cheaper. So I do recommend this if you're looking for an alternative to Fix Plus. So this is the final look, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you found it helpful. So that's going to be it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.